Hey, good morning, my friends. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here. Welcome to Wednesday. Hey, see, I got my MLive mug. Oh, I should be holding it this way, shouldn't I? We got another major winter storm we're going to be tracking. And so let's get right on to it and try to figure it out. Basically, the long story short is that by Friday afternoon, solid moderate to heavy precipitation will be across all of lower Michigan, and depending on where you're at, it will be rain, maybe in the far south, mixture, sleet and snow, and then some part of central lower Michigan, we'll call it. Northward will be all snowfall. So let's get to it and show you what's going on. By the way, I want you to know that we've been very accurate this winter. The models have been very accurate. This one seems to have a little bit more spread from model to model and run to run right now. But that will probably solidify much more concrete this afternoon, tonight. So I'm going to show you some snowfall total forecasts. The one I like right now for you to use is the Europeans ensemble mode. That takes 30 something iterations of the European, averages them together. So if there's a lot of fluctuation north south and amounts and whatnot, it's somewhat best to organize those and average them, I guess you would say. And David Feinblum, this one right now does not look like an ice storm. So here we go. So we have a little bit of precipitation moving through the Saginaw area and the Thumb right now. Here in Frankenmuth, it's not even reaching the ground. So I think that looks a little worse than what it actually is. And that's on the heels of a warm front. Hey, good morning, Andy Sawman from Pinckney. That's on the heels of a warm front that will bring warmer air. I'll show you that to you. So this is that little system, not a travel problem for today whatsoever. In fact, it will turn out to be very nice. Okay, so then we focus on the next storm system. Now, this is Thursday and maybe a flurry or two. This is Friday morning, 7 a.m., 1 p.m. in the afternoon on Friday. You see the storm moving into the southern third of the state. 7 p.m. on Friday, the storm is fully going. And this is the Europeans' forecast. Now, remember, if that low pressure center, which is over, South Bend, Indiana, in this forecast, if that's shifted 50 miles north and west to, say, the north side of Chicago, then everything shifts north, or if it's shifted south a little bit. And what has this winter's personality been? It's been warmer than colder. So tendencies have been for things to shift a little bit to the north. So this is Friday evening. This is Friday night. We're in a full-fledged snow. Probably the Thumb to Flint to Grand Rapids northward. And then this is Saturday morning, 7 a.m., and Saturday afternoon. So it's basically a Friday afternoon, Friday night, sunrise Saturday snowstorm, then done for the rest of the weekend. All right, and then now that was the European model. Now let's look at the U.S. model, okay? Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. There's almost 500 of us on here. Good morning. This is the MLive Morning Weather Update. This is the way we do it on MLive. And, I apologize. I'm getting a lot of messages from folks saying, hey, used to watch you all the time on Facebook. You're not there anymore. I'm here every day that I work. I'm here in the morning around 9-ish or so. It's Facebook that kind of messes with us media outlets and stops the notifications and stuff. So I'm going to work on that with our what's called our social team, for the social media and stuff. But they make it very difficult for us to get notifications to you. So, but we're trying, okay? And I appreciate the fact that you're asking me because you want to see what's going on. Okay, so now this is the U.S. model, and it's not as good as the European. And it's farther south. So this is 1 p.m. Friday, same timing, okay? Same timing of the start time. This is 4 p.m. And notice it doesn't bring the rain into Michigan, maybe just to the border. And then this is 7 p.m. Friday. Notice it has the low pressure center way to the south around Dayton, Ohio. That changes the whole scheme of things. That puts almost everybody in heavy snowfall in the southern half of lower Michigan. And oh, so here is the US model. Again, it's colder, much colder. And you'll see that in just a moment. And by the way, I also want to emphasize something to everybody. You can get confused on this. I know the media landscape is very confusing. You are watching me live on the MLive Facebook page. So if you're a Michigan Weather Group member, it doesn't broadcast on there. If you allow notifications on Michigan Weather Group, it doesn't notify you of my live broadcasts on the MLive.com Facebook page. So that's what you have to allow notifications from. And if you're a personal member or friend of my personal Facebook page, I'm not there either. I'm on MLive.com's Facebook page. So that's an important distinction, I think, that some people, miss, and I understand it's kind of confusing. All right, now we're going to look at the Europeans ensemble mode. Josh Crawfish, which model has been more accurate this winter? At this time out, 2 and 3 days out, the Europeans' placement of the snow bands is the accurate, always has been, and it still is. And then when we get to 24 hours out and 36 hours out, we don't use the European for snowfall totals. We use a couple of the high resolution US models. Kelly Lewis, we'll look at that in just a second. So this is the Europeans ensemble mode, which takes 30 different iterations of the European run and averages them together. And it's a very good way when there's a big spread in some of the members saying north solution, some saying south, some saying heavier, some saying lighter snow. It's a real good basic way. And you know what? It fits. It fits. Hopefully I don't go off on you here. It fits 32 years worth of human experience, called situational forecasting. Here's a storm center with a bunch of closed isobars around it, making an average speed track. What does that do in Michigan? It lays down a swath of 6 to 10 inches of snow, a lot of 6, 7, and 8s, 10 somewhat hard. So when we look at the Europeans ensemble, lo and behold, it looks like what we would probably have forecast without the models 20 or 30 years ago. And of course, the models have increased our accuracy dramatically because we know weather doesn't always go by what it normally does. But point being is, let me blow this up a little bit too so you can see it a little bit better. Hey, we got 500 of us on there. Hey, good morning, Levon Caraba. Hope you and Ed are doing well. Okay, so, what we would say with this is that it's a swath of, I would call it a 5 to 9 inch snow, southwest to northeast across the heart of the state. In the south, I know a lot of you are from Ann Arbor and the Detroit area. You're going to probably have some mix in there. Given what this winter has done, you're going to have some mix that cuts you down. With the mix, it's hard to get 5 inches. So you're, 2 to 4. But I don't want to dwell on this too much just yet because I want you to know that I think I can give you the general terms, but you don't take general terms. You take specifics right at your house and run with them. I am now on the record. So let's just temper it some and say this is a major winter storm. This is a snowstorm. We'll get through it. It's probably not an ice storm. That's the good news. There will be probably little areas of freezing rain temporarily, but not an ice storm. And then let's look at some of the other snowfall forecasts. You can kind of see the range of solutions. So I like this one the best. Ensemble's average. Hey, good morning, Shannon DeVries from Muskegon. So this is the US model. Remember I showed you it's farther to the south, so its snow band is displaced to the southeast half of the state. And lo and behold, it's a 6 to 10 inch snow also. So that kind of looks uh, logical, just depending on where the low pressure center tracks. And then this is the National Weather Service. The forecasters looking at all of the information. And lo and behold, they shift it to an axis of heavy snow about what the Europeans ensemble has. And they're a little bit lower on the totals by a couple of inches. But all in all, it slices up to be a snowstorm for Michigan, one that we have probably 5 times a year, and that we will get through it, but one that you will need to know. What you get out of this is travel today, tomorrow, Friday morning. What you get out of this is Friday afternoon, Friday night, very early Saturday, going to be quite nasty, quite treacherous. There will be some wind with this, 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So where it's pure snow and fluffy, it could drift quite a bit. That would be right now the center of the state, Big Rapids to Clare, Mount Pleasant, northeast corner. We'll have to see on that. And then better travels as you go into Saturday afternoon and Sunday. Back to it, temperatures, and this is important too. So today we're going to be near 60 degrees in Lansing, 56 in Kalamazoo, 40 in Saginaw, 53 in Grand Rapids, northern parts of Lower Michigan, upper 30, so quite mild. Tomorrow, a little bit cooler, but still setting us up for the warmer solution and the lower end, perhaps, of the snowfall totals, at least in the southern half of Lower Michigan. Now, here's Friday. Look at Saginaw's high, 36, Grand Rapids, 38, Flint, 38. This would be an early morning high before the precipitation starts, but, you know, when you get temperatures like that, you get some mix, you get some melting. So I think if I leaned anyway, I would lean toward lower actual snowfall totals. And you know what? I may have to go back to my box of brownies, my pan of brownies analogy. Remember I wrote that post and people loved it and they wanted brownies all day long that day. And I wrote it at 5 in the morning. So sorry about that. But remember, this is going to be like a brownie-like storm. One person makes a box of brownies in a pan and they're fluffy and it's kind of cakey. And then the other person makes that same box and they're thin and they're gooey and they're thick. And we'll have snow in layers like that too from north to south. So then Saturday, getting to 40 degrees. So if the roads are bad Saturday morning, give it a couple of hours and they'll be just fine. Sunday back into the 40s. Monday, a big temperature gradient emerging. And then we may go into what I'm going to call the tank on weather for a couple of weeks, for what we would expect from what we've had. And there's a lot more to that I'm going to be getting to, but just to give you a little bit of preview of the tank, next Tuesday in the 30s, next Wednesday in the 30s, next Thursday in the low to mid 30s, next Friday in the 20s and 30s, and look at the cold air developing to the north. Sandy Burnham making gooey brownies. I'm a gooey brownie person. My wife is a great cook. Let's go over this. Today, fine for travel. Thursday, fine for travel. Get out of town. I've talked to some people going to Florida. Get gone tomorrow. Not Friday. Now, Friday's not terrible because once you get down into Ohio, it's going to be all rain going southward, but you're going to be in the heart of the storm. So if you can go somewhere south, if you're escaping, if you can leave on Thursday and stop halfway and enjoy yourself, it's probably a better way to go. Friday afternoon, Friday night, sunrise to sunrise Saturday, we'll call it a major winter storm because it's heavy amounts of precipitation. We'll get through it. We don't need to stock up on weeks and weeks of food for this one. And then some not bad days for the weekend. Then we go into the tank. Hey, let's have fun. Do you want to see the tank? Okay, I'll show it to you. This is the Europeans' 46-day forecast. So it goes out 46 days. What you're looking at is the surface temperature anomaly. So if it's colder than warmer or warmer than normal, and it's a 5-day average as we go along through the next 45 days. And you can see what I'm going to call the tank developing. So here we are into the first week of March 8th, and we're averaging above normal. And then we get to about the 11th and 12th, and we go below normal by about 5 to 10 degrees. So at that time, we have normal highs in the low 40s. So that means we're struggling to hit 32 at times. And we're at March 15th, and we're at March 16th, and we're still in the tank. And we're at March 19th and March 20th, and we're in the tank, but it's trying to lessen some. We're 3 to 6 degrees colder than normal. So we're still struggling to have a lot of 40s. And then we go to March 28th and March 29th, and we're starting to really complain because we are still in the tank. And we're at April 5th and April 6th, and the tank is starting to wear off, and we may go to slightly warmer than normal after that. And bear in mind that a 46-day forecast may not encompass a weather pattern change out at 30 days. But the point being is, get ready for March, and there are some good things and bad things about that tank that I will be highlighting over the next week or so. But first, let's get through this storm system. There's your update. Thanks for joining me. We're still 422 people strong. I know, Carmelita, you don't like the sound of that, the tank. Let's see if we got any questions here. Tanya Michelle, hopefully roads will clear Friday morning by 11 a.m. I'm going to Florida, but can't leave until that time. If you get on the road 11 a.m., you're going to minimize your amount of snow. Book south, keep moving, and you might get through a thin band of snow developing, but not too terrible before you get to the rain in Ohio or so. Mark Ashworth says decent maple syrup weather, I think. Okay, hopefully. Buy up a case of brownie mix. Yes. I'm sorry, Kyle Aldridge. Kylie Aldridge. I did come on a little bit early. Hey, thank you, Chuck Ward. I do appreciate that very much. Rick and Wendy Carbonon, no energy shift. You might be talking about at times the storms jump to the mid-Atlantic. We haven't seen that shift at all this winter. It's a very common shift. You're very right. There were some hints at it, but this winter's personality has not had that. And we haven't had any major hemispheric rearranging of the pattern, so we wouldn't expect that all of the sudden that would start. So no, there's no sign of a what I think you're hinting at as an energy shift where the storm gets into Ohio and then jumps over the Appalachians and reemerges over in the mid-Atlantic. Let's see, Brenda Bennett, what time is the snow hitting? Just logged on. It's hitting, let's call it Friday afternoon from south to north. Could this still go north and GR just gets rain or a mix? Steve Schmidt, yes. Grand Rapids in the European solution, Grand Rapids would get into a mix for a few hours, and that makes the brownies gooey. Tony DeMarzo, how much snow in Sterling Heights? Right now, the Detroit area, Ann Arbor, I would say it's likely you get at least 2 inches to maybe as much as 4 inches, but it depends on the track of that storm. Lenny Macomb Yard, same thing for Macomb County. I did come on a little bit early. We're expecting some sort of mix in the southeast, but you missed it. That still not confident exactly at the moment, but I would say this afternoon, evening's runs will solidify, and certainly tomorrow morning. The storm is only 24 hours from starting off. Elizabeth Platt, any more snowstorm here in Muskegon, Michigan, the whole month of March? Yeah, we're going to be in the tank, so we probably could still have a snowstorm or two. Steve Schulwitz from Alpena, you'd be all snow. And you're probably going to have you could have some enhancement from the lake, so you're probably in a 4 to 8 inch, easy 4 to 8 inch type thing. All right, there you go. Hey, Marianne Ackerman, mayor of Frankenmuth. Good morning to you. So what I would say is now is monitor mlive.com/weather, and we'll start to fine tune the snowfall and the mix and whatnot. Bear in mind, right now, this does not look like an ice storm, which is what we're really concerned about because we've had a couple of them now. It does not look like that. So we'll keep you updated. Thanks for joining me on the MLive morning weather update. I'm a little bit early this morning, but we'll keep you updated. Take care.